मुर्शिदाबाद में जो कुछ हुआ, मालदा में जो कुछ हुआ, वो यहाँ की सरकार की निर्ममता का उदाहरण है।
I challenge them. If they have the guts, you go election for tomorrow. We are ready and Bengal is ready to accept your challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. You're watching the News Night and I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has made his very first visit to Bengal earlier today. This is his first visit to Bengal post the success of Operation Sindoor. And he did not hold back. Now, in a very charged address, you have the Prime Minister calling the Mamata Banerjee government nirmam. That is the word that he uses. Nirmam means, in English, ruthless. And he's accusing the Mamata Banerjee government that he is calling nirmam of failing to protect the people of Bengal. Mamati Manush. But the Trinamool Congress is firing right back and they are slamming the BJP for quote-unquote playing politics over this tragedy. Mamata Banerjee said the Prime Minister is playing politics and also exploiting national security for votes. With crucial state elections just about a year away now in Bengal, the gloves are off. And tonight we are going beyond the speeches, beyond the rhetoric, into the battle for Bengal's soul, who's shaping this narrative. And what does this clash mean for 2026 and beyond? This, remember, is not just a visit, it is a clear signal. And this is quite literally war. So we decided to decode what do these signs tell us, what is this war all about, who possibly has an edge here, with our panel of guests joining us, and we've decided not to get in political representatives today because all that you will hear then is noise. So let's decode this with the best people in the industry to help you understand what is this Mamata versus Modi war all about. I do see Amitabh Tiwari, who's a political strategist with us, and also Sajjan Kumar, again a political analyst. And we are waiting for Neerja Chaudhary to join us in just a moment. And as she does that, let me also fire our straight questions. Questions that we will try to find an answer to as far as this particular story is concerned about Mamata Banerjee and Prime Minister Modi. Would you recall what happened in 2020 when the Prime Minister said, Didi or Didi? Now, today what you're hearing as far as this bitter dual war of words is concerned is that a redux of what happened earlier. Let's quickly fire our second straight question, because when it comes to Mamata Banerjee and Prime Minister Modi, there is no end to this battle that is only escalating. Many people are asking, is Mamata Banerjee rattled by Prime Minister's visit to Bengal post the success of Operation Sindoor? Is that one of the reasons? Our third straight question, and that reads, is this Sindoor politics now the Prime Minister's pitch or the BJP's pitch to be able to consolidate Bengal's women voters? Because women or the Adi Abadi, remember again, hold a critical sway, and you're seeing that Adi Abadi that has largely voted for Mamata. Could that change this time around post the success of Operation Sindoor? Both these gentlemen on our screens will help us decode that bit of the narrative. Also, is Bengal plain simple, nothing else, just an ego clash also between Narendra Modi and Mamata Banerjee? Is there more to that story than meets the eye? This brings us to our fifth and our final straight question, and that reads, is this a do-or-die battle? Do-or-die battle for both Modi and Mamata, because this is a state that the BJP really wants to win. You've seen the RSS also with all its groundswell in Bengal. And not to forget Mamata, her only bastion, that she ensured that she takes from the left after a huge fight. So a lot is at stake when it comes to both of them. I also now do see Neerja ma'am on our screens, and I'll say good evening also to her. And we'll begin by asking you, Neerja ma'am, when you look at this entire battle that has played out for the second straight day between Mamata Banerjee and Prime Minister Modi, what is your sense? What is this fight all about?
This fight is about elections in 2026. Politics is banned. Operation Sindoor is over, at least though the Prime Minister says, it's ongoing. It hasn't been wound up, and that is correct. And the all-party delegation is out in world capitals mobilizing support. I'm a bit surprised, like we've been talking about the Congress jumping the gun and criticizing Shashi Tharoor, who's leading one of the delegations, one of its own, while the delegations are outside and could not wait till the delegations came back because they need to talk in the global capitals with one voice. I'm a bit surprised that the Prime Minister should take on Mamata, that the opposition is cooperating with them, for the in the delegations. They are putting forward the government of India's view to the world community and mobilizing support. So I'm a bit surprised at the timing of it. Of course, politics will pan out. It is not going to, nothing will come to a halt. And very important elections are down the road. Of course, Bihar before that, but certainly West Bengal, Assam, Kerala next year. And West Bengal is a state where the Prime Minister and the BJP has its eyes on because they feel they can make a difference there. And I absolutely agree with you. It's the women voters that they are going to target. Women are underpin the support of Mamata Banerjee in Trinamool Congress. And Operation Sindoor has been all about women. And women have responded in a very emotional way. And so they will certainly, the Prime Minister is going all out to consolidate support, in some instances to do damage control also. But yes, it is back to politics. And certainly, nirmamta is the word he uses.
Oh, yes.
Which is a very evocative word in West Bengal in the context of Mamata Banerjee.
Yes. So, Sajjan, when the Prime Minister says कि nirmam sarkar hai, he also talks about Murshidabad. He also talks of a lot of other Achilles heel when it comes to Mamata Banerjee. And Mamata Banerjee today has thrown an open challenge to Prime Minister Modi. She says, agar himmat hai, aap chunav kara lo Bengal mein. That is what she says. So what does this tell us of these, two individuals on the other side of the political aisle, Mamata versus Modi? Clearly, this is a battle like no other state, Sajjan.
Yes, precisely. And if you see the political scenario in Bengal, you have two pull personalities who have the pull factor. One on the one side, while there has been, strong sense of anti-incumbency, but to encash that anti-incumbency, you need, the state BJP leadership, which should be there as a pull factor, which is not the case, unfortunately. And therefore, you need the leader like Modi who is there. And then there is anti-incumbency among the rank and file against the rank and file of the Trinamool. But then you have Mamata Banerjee, who has her own hold over the party. And despite all the things, she still has maintained that image of being a fighter, and a regional Kshatriya. So that way you find these two personalities have their passion and their weaknesses, who they try to supersede by their own presence. This is one. But if you see Prime Minister Modi's, the method of reaching out to the Bengal, it's full of semantics that is very relatable. So he is talking about Sindoor, which is targeting one half of the electorate, that is women. Two, he is also talking about the Shakti, the cult of Shakti, the cult of Durga, etc., which he very in a customized way mentioned in today's speech at Alipurdwar. So that is also wherein he is trying to bring together a cultural and popular resonance. And on the other hand, when Mamata Banerjee is, throwing a challenge that you dare to have an election, then also Mamata Banerjee has the assurance of the demographic wherein since 2021, you have 30% of the minorities who are consolidated, which was not the case earlier because they used to be divided between Congress, CPM and Trinamool. Now they all are, despite their grudge, whatever be the case, consolidated. So that way you read in their language and all sort of the gesture, it shows that they are acutely aware about their strengths, their weaknesses, and they are playing a very predictable democratic game. And then also, if you see, Bengal is one state which is very emotionally close, not only to the BJP, but to also to the RSS, because during partition refugee question, while the RSS and Jansangh was able to capture in Punjab part, but in Bengal they lost that, plot to the Communist Party. So therefore, this is something emotive, and this is one battle which is beyond the electoral realm. So that way, do expect that it is going to be a high-charged battle wherein these two, the captain of their team, despite all the weaknesses, will try to encash and pull their way. But the point is, the last point, will BJP or state BJP in Bengal be capable of doing what Hemant Biswa Sharma did in Assam, that despite a substantial 35% minority vote, it was able to consolidate the rest of the electorate. That scenario in Bengal still, I think, is a bit difficult. Yes.
I think, Sajjan, you've put forward some fantastic points. And Amita, why don't you push that a little further? Nirja ma'am spoke about the women voter, the Adhi Abadi, then comes the minority. And clearly, when Mamata Banerjee is entering the Bengal battle, she already enters that with that advantage, with already that 30% plus vote. But this time around, when the Prime Minister is there and he's speaking about Operation Sindoor, do you believe that this could be that change in narrative that could help the BJP?
See, if you look at the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, BJP did fairly well in West Bengal without having a significant cadre base or a significantly strong state leadership. It was primarily on account of the charisma of Prime Minister Modi riding on the nationalism pitch after the Balakot airstrikes. So nationalism did help BJP in West Bengal convert a class-based election into a nationalism or a nationalist-based election at that point of time. However, it has lost ground since then. In 2021 Vidhan Sabha, Mamata came back strongly, riding on the M square, which is Mahila and minority vote bank, and recorded or scripted a historical 3/4 majority. Even in the Lok Sabha elections, the BJP performed poorly compared to 2019. So the gains have somewhat lost or dissipated compared to that. So now it's, of course, an ego, I would not say an ego, but a battle of leaders, because Mamata Banerjee perhaps is the only leader left, a regional satrap, if you exclude the southern states, who have held ground still against the Modi factor or the juggernaut. Odisha, Naveen Patnaik fell in 2024 Vidhan Sabha election, and the other fort of AAP, which was Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal, also lost an election in largely a presidential style battle between Kejriwal and Modi. So here, around 50% women voters backed TMC in 2021 Vidhan Sabha election. And the lead is 13%, just 37% voted for the BJP. This lead is higher versus compared to males, much higher. So what the Prime Minister is trying to do is instill a nationalism pitch, which has worked in the past in 2019 Lok Sabha election, as well as relate this with the women vote, where Mamata has a lead, combine it with Murshidabad violence, where Hindu homes were attacked and many lives were lost, and carry on the Sandesh Khali incident, which also happened, to tap at this women voter, because they have suffered perhaps a lot after these violences and the Sandesh Khali incident. So trying to revive nationalism and get back the women vote to have a good chance at West Bengal elections in 2026.
Okay, but still, is that possible is a question that a lot of people will continue to ask. But in this second bit of conversation that I'm going to have with all of you, I want to also discuss and open this up to a big national picture, because the Prime Minister goes first to Gujarat, Nirja ma'am, then he's traveling to Bengal, now he's in Bihar even as we speak. So you see that entire narrative that has also been created. Bihar is going to be the first election post the success of Operation Sindoor. And when you look at this pitch that the BJP now is using, Nirja ma'am, do you believe that this is going to be that new narrative that possibly the regional satraps, like Amitabh just mentioned, could find difficult to counter, because you cannot not agree with the stand the government has taken vis-a-vis Pakistan?
It'll be very interesting. Bihar, where the Prime Minister goes now, is going to be a very interesting election, because so far it was said that it's going to be fought on hyper-local issues. it'll be ultimately caste lineups, the local issues in the coming election, and nationalism. And what has happened now was not going to affect it that much more. But the Prime Minister going to Gujarat and West Bengal. So obviously, he knows what he's doing. He's choosing his states very, very carefully. Will Bihar respond to, again, what Amitabh says, nationalism plus women? And Operation Sindoor is a very emotive symbol, particularly in states like Bihar and West Bengal. At the time of Chhat Puja, you see Sindoor right coming down to the nose of women. So it has a very emotive significance, not just for women, but for family life, the foundation of families. It speaks to people without having to say a word. And therefore, to have these women widowed in Pahalgam and see their husbands and menfolk killed in front of their eyes and helplessly not able to do anything. And the Prime Minister then says, we will avenge their deaths. This is something India is not going to forget. And this was done after ascertaining their religion. So the message has gone far and wide. Now, of course, there are people who say that India, why do the ceasefire? Why didn't you go far enough and damage Pakistan more? That public is also there. So in a sense, let us see how the Prime Minister's message resonates particularly in Bihar, where caste is such a big factor.
That is the point. And where this government has moved ahead with the caste census, they've started to speak about it, Sajjan and Amitabh, that's also a point. So you're looking at everything moving together. There was Mandal, there is Kamandal, and then there is Mahila vote. And then to trump it all is this big nationalism pitch. I mean, whether it is in Gujarat, Sajjan, or whether it was in Bihar or Bengal, we've seen those streams of Tiranga. So that is also where, a lot of things converge. Could this be something difficult for Mamata Banerjee to handle, Sajjan?
Yeah, if you see this, the grand conversion, and when we talk about the Gujarat model, we do not see the social composition. So therein you find this academic binary of Mandal versus Kamandal that never held, because primarily the aspirational ones who came to the fold of a sort of Kamandal movement also came from the Mandal social base. Who were the leaders of the Kamandal movement? Kalyan Singh and OBC, Uma Bharti and OBC, even Narendra Modi and OBC, Vinay Katiyar, the All India President of Bajrang Dal and OBC. So even the Hindutva movement of 1990s was itself led by, the subaltern OBC, Dalit, Kameshwar Chaupal, etc. So this is one of false binary. Two, they are also the ones who have now joined and clubbed with the discourse of nationalism. So aspirational India, nationalist India, social justice centric, inclusive India, material and welfare centric, these all converge together. And if you try to analyze the political grammar from the old texts, of 90s and early 2000s, that is not because there is a new generation and everywhere who across caste spectrum within Hindus, they relate to this multiplicity of the ideas. That is why this material and cultural and nationalism, it's a grand convergence, and that model was in Gujarat. And there was certainly an aberration in 2024 because of the organizational complacency, wherein you thought that Prime Minister Modi face is superseding factor to crush all the opposition, and therefore you saw that happening in Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. And post that, the organizational complacency has been taken care of, and you see a very hyperactive BJP. So certainly that is going to... In Bengal, the problem is, while the central leadership is going to be quite hyperactive, I still do not believe that the state leadership, except Shubhendu Adhikari, any state leader who has a relatable and a resonating fan base or a ground presence. So that is one factor wherein you find a desire to change, but the ones who want to change need an organization and a state leadership who should also feel, kind of confident of encashing and representing that. And in Bengal, if the electorates are not confident of the state leadership, you mind it, there is always a fear factor. So I think whether Prime Minister Modi would be able to galvanize the state leadership also, that should be the marker we should be keenly watching on. Yeah.
Yes, so because Nirja ma'am used that word, Amitabh, hyper-local, this is exactly how a lot of these regional satraps have tried to play the election. Now, when you'll come to Bihar, you'll be looking at a different matrix versus what will happen in Bengal. But I think what Sajjan says is also a part of the problem. And maybe the central BJP does realize this, that you don't have a figure or a face that can actually take up Amitabh or Mamata Banerjee. But then we've seen things change in Delhi versus an Arvind Kejriwal, how things completely changed. It is just about that new narrative. How will you sell this new narrative? Narendra Modi 3.0, Amitabh. Last 1 minute.
Yeah, so essentially, every state is unique and different. So what the BJP, of course, realizes that the caste census, which may not work that well in West Bengal as it could in Bihar. In Bihar, the nationalism pitch which the Prime Minister is playing or adopting is a cherry on the cake because it already has a favorable caste dynamics in Bihar going in its favor. Topping that with caste census promise as well as the Operation Sindoor, so that all these three become a potent combination there. In Bengal, the caste-wise politics does not play. So what it is trying to achieve is that any government has three levels. So it is leader, which is the CM, the government, which is cabinet ministers, and the MLAs. Now, while Mamata Banerjee may still hold some decent popularity among its core vote bases, the government may not be as popular and the MLS could be facing severe local anti-incumbency. So that's where the local contest comes in. But that requires not only Prime Minister Modi to push. So Prime Minister Modi could push perhaps in the battle with Mamata Banerjee. So Mamata versus Modi. Central government achievement versus state government achievement. But MLA versus MLA. So it needs to find out 294 strong candidates to contest against the MLAs or incumbent MLAs, which have been there for a long time now in West Bengal, winning on TMC ticket. And there is where the local anti-incumbency, the BJP, would need to exploit. Last time it had given ticket almost half of TMC contestants. So it needs to find its own cadre base, own strong leaders to take on these people. And this three-layered approach may work in BJP's favor this time because there is a 20-year anti-incumbency.
All right. Interesting times. Nirja ma'am and both gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue to track that story. Let's also get you Newsnight's parting shot now. Now, Bengal's political cauldron, remember, is boiling. Narendra Modi's blitzkrieg has hit Bihar after Gujarat, rewriting narratives post-Operation Sindoor. With the Prime Minister's high-octane campaign, Bihar's upcoming election that, remember, is going to be the first since Operation Sindoor's success, could actually redefine India's political landscape. Will nationalism be that one defining narrative that the BJP needed? And they've got it. The stakes are very high. We'll continue to track that story. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.